You know that feeling where no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you buy, no matter how busy or productive or on top of things you are, something inside still won't stop moving. It's like your body stops, but your soul keeps running. You tell yourself you just need a break or a new routine or a holiday or one big thing to finally click into place. But that restlessness always returns even stronger. Here's the truth nobody tells midlife professionals. Your soul isn't restless because you're failing. Your soul is restless because it's overloaded with wants and disconnected from its needs. My name's Andrew, and today I'm going to walk you through why that deep inner agitation still exists and how to finally experience the peace that your mind has been craving for years. Let's dive into what we really mean when we use this phrase, a restless soul. First of all, let's take a moment to talk about what your soul is to begin with. When we use the word soul, we're talking about our inner life. We're talking about our thoughts, our emotions, and our willpower, or how we make decisions. Those things are what make up the contents of our soul. And so if you understand that definition, you can start to understand more of what I mean when I use the phrase a restless soul. That feeling on the inside where there's constant agitation, can't quite settle properly, can't locate peace, always itchy on the inside about how your life is and how it's going. You know, I've been through this myself as well. I remember as a much younger man constantly battling with a fantasy escapism in my mind. I used to imagine myself being able to move and relocate myself and my family to a tiny small town somewhere, buy some acreage, live in a small house, live a tiny life, and I thought that that would actually make me happy. I thought that if I could just get the pace and the noise to settle down, that would deal with the restlessness on the inside. But it wasn't true. What I was dealing with there was I was actually just trying to escape the pain of my responsibilities. And so I found that the more that I leaned into that escapism and that fantasy, all it did was spike the number of items that I thought I wanted in life. And I began to become very focused on acquiring things and possessions and tangible things that people could see that reflected my achievements and milestones in life. And the harder I chased after it, the more restless I became. And so I had to go on this long search of what was going on, why was it happening, was I satisfied with what it was doing on the inside, and how could I actually reverse engineer that situation? And that's what I want to share with you today, because you might find yourself in that same situation, feeling restless, constantly agitated, always on the search for the next big highlight, the next big moment. You are paralyzed and tormented by a restless soul on the inside. Well, a moment ago, I gave a small hint to why this happens for a lot of us a lot of the time. It's because we have confused in our life the distinction between what we need and what we want. Now, before I get too deep into it, let me qualify. There are a lot of wants in our life that are not evil or wrong when they are within our control. There are some wants that are evil and wrong, and we should try to avoid those, but I'm just pointing out the fact that I'm not suggesting that all wanting is problematic. Certainly not. But over wanting is hugely problematic, and we often tip into that way of living life. Two reasons. Number one, because we've lost sight on the true needs of life, which I'm going to get to in a few moments' time. But also, as I mentioned in a previous episode on this channel, we have allowed the content flow, the easy access flow of other people's achievements, other people's milestones, and their possessions and their highlights and their supposed very successful life. We've allowed that to wash through our eyes and our ears into our soul, and it begins to take up root like a seed germinating in the soil of our soul, convincing us that if we could acquire the same results of a supposedly successful life, we would finally be happy and we wouldn't have restlessness on the inside anymore. However, it's a trap, it's a lie, it's a trick, because actually acquiring all of those things on your want list will not bring that true satisfaction to your soul that you long for. And I want to help you to achieve what I had to try and go through many years ago, where I learned how to get the restlessness out of my soul by focusing on the right things. I had to address those things on my want list. I had to re-engage with the things on my need list. And I had this startling discovery that I want to unpack for you in this episode. So if we can come to understand the distinction between our true needs and those things that are just wants, we will make tremendous progress to settling that restlessness down that exists in our soul. What I had to discover, and what I hope I can help you discover, is that there is a list of true needs in life. And once we start to take a closer look at these, you'll discover that for most of us, we already have a large quantity of our needs met. And when we focus back on it, it brings the joy and the peace back to our soul. Let's get into that list. I've identified 8 true needs that everyone has in their life. And as we see in a moment's time, we already have a large quantity of these needs already met. The first one is really obvious, which is food. Now, this is where you're going to start to make a shift. If you've got enough food to satisfy you, then enough is enough. Now, is it nice when you get to go to a nice restaurant? Of course it is. And can you enjoy it? Of course you can. But what I want to encourage you to do is not equate the best food with enough food. You don't have to go to 5-star Michelin-rated restaurants in order to put a tick in that box. If you've got sufficient food and your family has sufficient food, you have one of your core needs already met. The second one, also super obvious, clothing. Can you cover yourself? Now, you might not have the latest Hermes Birkin handbag. I just learned about that in the last couple of weeks for you ladies watching. You might not have the most fashionable outfit or the wardrobe that you dream about all the time, but maybe the dreaming about it all the time is part of the problem. Again, is it nice to have nice things and nice clothes? Sure. And when it's in your life, be grateful for it. But don't make the correlation between the best wardrobe is a wardrobe. If you've got clothing and you can keep yourself warm through cold seasons, you actually have got another tick in that box as well. Let's get to a third one that's super important for us to pay attention to. You might have already guessed what it is. This idea of housing, or in really old-fashioned terms, shelter. Again, let me bring your thinking back to this important understanding. You may or may not have your dream home, or as the younger kids like to call it these days, their forever home. I worry about some of their language because already at a young age, you can tell they have fed their soul with too much imagery that has fed into this idea that if I could somehow acquire my dreamiest dream home, then I would be worth something and I would be so content and so happy. Actually, the contentment in your soul comes before the acquisition of possessions. Doesn't really matter whether you own your own home, you're buying your home, or you're renting a home. If you've got shelter, you can put a tick in the box that a lot of people on the planet actually can't put. We're talking here about real needs that can bring you a contentedness in your soul. Number 4, clean water. Some of you might be thinking, Andrew, this is so insulting that you're taking us through this patronizing list of items, but actually, maybe we need this kind of reality jolt to come to our thinking to help us understand how addicted we've become to this fanciful want list, believing that that would make us happy in our life. It's just not true. Clean water. If you've got clean water, you are in the top 10% richest people on planet Earth. And we can't afford to diminish the value of these things and elevate the value of these other things on the want list, because we will end up super restless. Number 5, basic healthcare. Now, where I live in Australia, we are blessed to have pretty good healthcare, especially comparatively with the rest of the world. We actually have accessible healthcare, and we don't have to struggle like a lot of people on the planet. You see, if you have all the money, all the possessions, but you lose your health, what's the point? We've got basic healthcare. We can put a tick there and go, it's another one of my needs that are truly met. Let's get to number 6. This is on the need list, and if you've got it, you're doing well. And that is to have an income stream. Now, I realize that in a modern digital world, we're getting to the point where people would like to have a couple of income streams, and you can work towards that. My point is, if you've got at least one, you've got opportunity to get your life tracking in the direction that you want. There's a lot of people on the planet who don't have access to employment opportunities. Our need list is what keeps our soul calm. And the last 2 on the list that might be a little unexpected, first of all, love. The soul needs love. If you don't have the experience of giving and receiving love to people in your life that really matter to you, your soul will become progressively bankrupted by the lack of that experience in your life. And the last one is this idea of hope. I work with lots of different kinds of people in my career and in my life. Currently, I do a lot of work with middle-aged men, and I see the tragedy of men running out of hope in their life because they have come to believe that their tomorrow will be no better than their yesterday. It's so important that we place high value and gratitude on things like love and hope, because if we've got these things, we actually have what is required to have a content, peaceful, and calm soul. If you're resonating with what you're hearing in this episode today, and this is speaking to a core issue that you've been living with, I'd love to encourage you to check out my brand new training program that I call True Self Transformation. There's a link in the show notes below, and when you click on it, it'll take you to a page where you can have a free preview lesson. Healing the restless soul is just one of a large number of topics that I cover extensively, that I break down for you in that training program. And I guarantee you, when you commit yourself to that course, it's got the power to get you unstuck, growing, and upgraded, and I'm sure you'll love it. Why don't you check that out when you get a chance? Before we run out of time on this episode today, all about healing the restless soul, I want to give you a couple more practical thoughts that can help to push you in that positive direction of realizing you've actually already got a lot of what you need within your reach. I want to take a moment and talk to you about this thing that I call pleasure gifts. What I'm saying there is that as a human, existential to being a person on the planet, you already have 4 that I'm going to itemize for you, pleasure gifts that bring incredible joy into your soul, but you might need to be reminded that they are there for you and you should access them as often as possible. Here we go. Number 1, pleasure gift is creation. We have fallen so in love with the plastic, man-made world of things and toys and possessions and gadgets that we have taken our eye off the fact that creation is full of eternal beauty. You need to be in the outdoors, you need sunlight, you need to experience those favourite landscapes of the bush or mountains or lakes or the beach, the snow, whatever is your favourite thing. It actually feeds and nourishes your soul when you make yourself available to this pleasure gift called creation. Number 2 of 4, and we've all got these, you have time. Time is a gift to your soul. You might think to yourself, yeah, but I'm running out of time. Yeah, but you still have time. If you've got breath in your lungs today, even if you're not at your peak, you still have time. And to realize it, to acknowledge it, and to remember to be grateful for it actually feeds a certain kind of food into your soul that you won't get from all of these other items that live on our want list. Number 3, one of my favorites to talk about, a pleasure gift called movement. In other words, if you've got 2 legs, 2 arms, or even if you don't, if you've got access to transport, the ability for you to move from point A to point B by your own choice is a gift of pleasure to the soul, that you are not stuck. You see, we've been wired to long for progress and to want movement experience in our life. Whether it's walking, running, riding a bike, driving a car, getting on a train or a plane, it doesn't really matter. You need to be reminded and stay close to the fact that movement is actually a gift to our soul, and when we acknowledge it and indulge it, it will feed us in a unique way. Number 4, out of 4, choice. To have the ability to choose for yourself, please don't lose sight of the fact that this is a pleasure gift to your soul. To choose where you live, to choose where you work, to choose what you eat, to choose who your friends will be, to choose what holidays you want. All of these choices that we make every day, but maybe we take for granted, we need to be reminded this is a pleasure gift to the soul. Acknowledge it, indulge it, be grateful for it, and it's going to do you so well. Look, I hope you've heard something in today's episode that has been useful to you. I'd love you to check out those links in the description below, my True Self Transformation Training Program, also the link to my free newsletter, and I'd love to see you in another video real soon.